This is video. Are they looking at me?
Yes,
Nice.
they are.
Hey, everyone.
All right. Here we have Mason Ferlic, third place in the men's 3,000 meter steeplechase. I will be asking questions on behalf of the media. So just want to start by talking us through your race today.
Oh, man. I mean, one of those races where it comes together and you kind of black out in the middle of it, but at the same time, you're conscious of every move you're making. And, you know, I haven't really had a ton of time to digest it. I was basically blackout at the finish there. I've had like an asthma attack or something like that in the heat, but you know, tactically, I think I executed it the way I needed to make that team, right? I was patient early and trying to conserve emotional energy more than anything, knowing that like, hey, coming out of that second penultimate water jump, we're going to get rolling and people are going to be in the spots that are going to be making the team. And like, you know, Hillary's up there, Keeter slotted next to him. I was next to Isaac and Mahalski. And it was like, at that point, we were just like this slow pickup every lap to the finish. And I was trying to stay technically clean. You know, we were kind of rubbing elbows a bit and like stuttering on a hurdle could have been a death blow there, you know, like you can't give an inch. And coming at that water pit, I was shoulder to shoulder with Mahalski, I think in fourth, and Isaac or Hillary and Keeter were just, a couple meters ahead, and I had a good pit. And it was like, as soon as my foot hit the ground after the pit, it was just try to turn over and get that gap going into the last barrier. And, coming over the last barrier, as soon as I touched ground on the other side and knew I had done it clean, I was like, heck yeah, baby. Like, just focus on the arm, just try to relax the face and drive forward to that finish line. And man, it feels amazing to make that team.
We have a question from Jonathan Galt. Did you realize how hard Michalski was coming after you over the final 50 meters?
I could sense him next to me, and it's one of those things where you just don't look around, just look forward. And I think I would, I'd give myself maybe a B- finish there. I've been practicing finish all season, ran the 3:35 1500, and really was kind of came into this race being like, I'm the guy that can close, and I can close down anyone. And so came into today and maybe didn't quite have the pop coming off that last water pit, but it was enough to hold off everyone else. I just wasn't able to catch Hillary and Keeter.
I have a question from Eric Bull from Diestat. Mason, in addition to the joy you're experiencing today over being an Olympian, is there also a sense of relief in knowing that the past 5 years of commitment to this goal have been rewarded, since the event has only gotten deeper and stronger in the U.S. since 2016?
Absolutely. I mean, I won in Hayward in 2016, and you think it's all going to be ticker tape parades and gold medals after that. And I had rough years. Like I had some pretty bad seasons, honestly, as a pro. I kind of couldn't find my way. I kind of couldn't string together either a healthy season or a competitive season. And, kind of lost that fire and that spark you have when I was a collegian at the top, like when things are going good, they go good. Everything feels great. You win races, you feel awesome. And so those kind of in between years from then to now, I was kind of like a little bit listless, rudderless, trying to find like the foothold to get back to where I thought I could compete. And so this year was the perfect kind of timing. I think things culminated at the right time for me, physically, emotionally. I just kind of found my spot in the sport, and thankfully it was at the right time in an Olympic year. Like I couldn't ask for better. I feel blessed and thankful for the people around me that were supporting me for the entire time, whether they were coaches I had in high school and college, people that reached out, training partners, like they all contributed to kind of this dream season. And so to come into 2021 healthy, firing on all cylinders with a great support crew in Ann Arbor and just this renewed energy of like, I'm a guy that can make the Olympic team. I came in here today thinking I was the favorite to win it. Step one was to make the team, but I really felt like this was kind of finally getting back to where I can compete at the highest level in this country and on the international stage. And so, yeah, this was a huge relief just because it's like, check mark, like, yes, we did it. We're finally, not saying I'm back, but like vindication, validation for like the way I've been training and approaching. It's like, we can do this at the highest level.
We have kind of a similar question. Rich Sands said, you had a very memorable moment here back in 2015 for the wrong reasons. How does it feel to become an Olympian in this stadium?
Hayward's been good to me. I know. I think my win-loss record at Hayward's better than that head dive, right? But 2015 came into the final after being fourth the year before as like a sophomore. Thinking like I could podium spot, and took a iconic spill. Made the U.S. diving team in that race, right into 4 inches of water. And yeah, I mean, I just remember like coming up out of the water, just like gasping for air, just being like, what the heck happened? And that moment was kind of the kick in the ass I needed for my senior season. I talked about I got complacent at that point with training and racing and just like thinking that things were just going to come naturally. And that trip in the water pit was like, hey, don't take this for granted. Like, you might be talented, but you got to be on point when it comes to trying to be at the top level. And so I turned that head dive into momentum for my senior season. And whether there's parallels or not, the pandemic in kind of 2020 was very similar. Like, that was a head dive for all of us in this sport. We had the rug, our feet, whatever, whipped out from under us, and the sport came careening into 4 inches of water. And a lot of people ask, what's next? What do we do? And for me, that was the reset. That was like, hey, stop taking this for granted. It's not every 4 years. Now we have a delay. You're not guaranteed to make the team. You got to go into 2021 focused and attacking and ready to be a guy that's going to make it onto the podium, not just hoping it's going to happen. And so, it's a little bit transformative. I found the groove after that, the pandemic and, the loss of the Olympics and kind of trying to figure out where to go next. And that, as terrible as it was, for me, it was this great reframing and gave me a sense of a different perspective on how I wanted to approach the next year.
I have a question from Jonathan Galt. Was there a moment when things turned around for you and allowed you to emerge from those lean years to getting back on the trajectory that took you to the Olympics?
Yeah, finding myself in the sport. And it's a weird thing to say, like, that's such an ambiguous answer, but I got caught up in trying to like thinking that to being a pro at pro level meant training differently or approaching it differently. And while there is certainly a different like expectations, like what works for me and what works in training and how I worked in high school, worked in college, works at pro level. And I lost touch. I tried to do more. I kept on, 100 miles a week, doubling every day, emulating what I thought the best groups and the best people in the world were doing because, hey, I'm a pro. I got to be the pro runner per se. But I just got caught up in the mind game of trying to like overanalyze, being too analytical about my training. And it wasn't until 2020 when, we pumped the brakes and was like, we're just trust it, just listen to the body. Don't try to control everything. It'll come naturally. Like, the talent's there. And so, the group we have in very nice track club in Ann Arbor, it became our social outlet. And for me, the sport is very social. It's about being with people, enjoying the process with people, getting fit with people, suffering workouts with people, and sharing these joys and moments with, Hobbs Kessler, Nick Willis, Mitchell Black. That's the fun part of the sport. And so when I got back to that and not trying to meet expectations and set arbitrary benchmarks and like thinking about what a contract means, that's when I started running better than ever.
We have a question from Sarah Butler. What would you say to your competitors, Dan and Isaac, who, like you, have been on a bit of a circuitous journey through this sport?
Yeah.
Is there as much camaraderie in this in this event as it appears?
I respect every competitor with like the fullest. I mean, these are great guys. It's weird because, in the call room, we're all trying to like avert each other's eyes and like be all tough and, stone cold, like killer before a boxing match. But in reality, like, these guys are great. I mean, they're awesome humans, Hillary, Bernard, like, I was on the world cross country team with them and we had a lot of fun together. Just me and the, Colorado WCAP guys, and Isaac and Mahalski. Those are guys that are in the same spot I was, we have the talent and maybe we are underappreciated, and we're doing this for ourselves and our family. And, we recognize that, and there's something so pure about that. And so, it's heartbreaking for those guys and to be fourth and fifth or sixth, like, but we've all been there at some point in our career. And, I hope the chips fall the right way for them. I hope to be on world teams with them in the future. Hope to see them on the start line. And, if there's one thing about running, it's that we're very sincere and genuine people with each other. And so sincerely, like they are great guys.
I'm gonna wait for some more questions. So how are you planning on celebrating making the team?
Oh man, I was so nervous this morning. My God, like I was sitting there just like, I'm not a nervous guy, you know, like my mom said I should be an emergency room physician growing up because I was so like even keel with my motion. I was just tapping my foot, just pacing in circles. I was like Kessler out there. So this is good. I mean, it's just this huge relief, and I can go back and I can smile and I can share with the family. Gonna go to the Wild Duck. We're gonna have pizza. We're gonna go to Tracksmith House, and you know, I'm gonna live this up because this is the best part. Now that the race is done, just get to soak it in, and I'm gonna take a selfie with anyone that wants one.
So when it, so when you all come, when the high comes down, when what are your plans for between now and Tokyo?
Yeah, fully trust they were in a good spot fitness wise. I seriously, this is weird, but you know, Ron thinks I can medal. Like, and I gotta trust what Ron says. I mean, when I ran 3:35, he wrote on our airplane ticket beforehand 3:35.8, and I ran 3:35.4. You know, he before this race says you're gonna make the team. I have no doubt about it. And he's like, you can run 8:08 or faster, and I have no doubt about that. So we're gonna go into Tokyo, and I think we got a great team to Tokyo. I mean, today was hot. Oddly, it didn't feel great in the heat at the end, and I kind of pride myself as I'm usually pretty good in it. But you know, I think we got a couple weeks here to really dial back into training and focus up. So we'll take a couple days, enjoy it, you know, watch everyone else, watch the finals. But I'm pumped. I think I want to race. It's almost weird. I'm less nervous for the Olympics now. Well, I'm saying that now, but like, man, making the team was half the battle. Now I'm like, I just want to rip it and run far. And like, maybe not being the guy that thinks he can win is like Brian Deemer. You know, everyone was talking about Marsh back in the day. I don't know if you know the story. And Deemer snuck in for the bronze medal because he ran a really patient and brilliant race at the Olympics. I think I can emulate and do the same thing.
And so we will wait a second to see if there's any more questions. If you have any questions, just raise your hand so I know you're typing.
We might go to Hawaii. That's the plan. Kind of half time change, hot and humid, get some training in. We know some people there. And so maybe like base in Hawaii before we go to Tokyo.
Someone's raising their hands. They're typing right now. Okay, we have another question from Sarah Butler. Mason, can you tell briefly what your student status is and how do you support yourself?
Yeah, so I'm actually a first-year PhD student at the University of Michigan. Just finished the first year in the statistics program at U of M. I guess it has me listed as a master's student, but I'm now going to my second year PhD. And yeah, it was kind of, I worked full time. I don't know if people know my story. Like, I fully believe in kind of this pendulum aspect of the sport of like having balance outside of it, and that, you know, you really refine and hone and focus in on your craft when you need to. But at the same time, there's periods of the season in the year when like you can develop yourself as a person and a career and have another outlet. I don't consider myself like a monk in a monastery when it comes to running. And so, you know, I worked at the university as a research engineer for 3 years in a sports science lab, had great mentors and coworkers that were extremely supportive of me trying to achieve the highest level in the sport. And then also, you know, working full time and building kind of my professional resume. And I made a decision that, you know, on the urging of mentors and faculty that, you know, hey, you should maybe consider a PhD program. And so randomly, and I say randomly, I kind of fell in love with a couple projects we were doing in the sports science lab and figured actually like statistics aligned well, and machine learning aligned with like kind of my goals, and really something that was really interesting to me. Had never taken a stats course in my undergrad at all. People call me the rocket scientist because I did aerospace engineering as undergrad and master's. And yeah, you know, with the 2020 year canceled, I was enrolled in the fall program, and like, so Zoom University. But it was great. I, you know, had some stressful first semester, but it took pressure off of the Olympics. Like, there's it was 8 months before that, and I could focus on cramming schoolwork and try to pass my classes. I was teaching an undergrad course and doing some research as well. So it was like a lot of other things going on, which I don't consider distractions from my running. They actually they complement that. They allowed me to really focus on the workouts and the work when we stepped on the track or, had to show up for practice. But at the same time, when I got home, I could put my feet up, pop open the laptop, do my schoolwork and not think about running. And, that's kind of like how you get sneaky fit, where a month or two passes and you're like, wow, I haven't really been thinking about training, but my gosh, I'm really strong right now. And so, yeah, finished that. I took the summer off here from any schoolwork, obviously, to make the team. And so that's going to be a lot easier when I go back to the department chair and be like, yeah, I'm not doing anything this rest of the summer. I'm going to Tokyo. And so I think they'll understand that. I'm hoping I don't have to teach an undergrad course in the fall because I want to kind of race through August and September. But it's a fun spot to be in. I'd rather have to write the email saying like, hey, I'm going to Tokyo. I'm not going to actually have to be able to do a lot of stuff and deal with that fallout. Yeah, I think for me, there's a balance and it's worked really well. And I'm really proud of that. And I would suggest anyone that has the same mentality that like, don't box yourself in one dimensionally and think that like to be the best runner, you need to like think about it every day. For me, there's been growth outside the sport. And it's really thankful. I've met wonderful people, wonderful coworkers, wonderful mentors. And so you see me wearing Tracksmith. I'm actually work with Tracksmith now as well. So I'm consultant for their business analytics. And it's great. Like we have a team that now that, our Slack channel is blowing up and they're supporting me. And there's awesome people that I can learn really interesting skills from that are in the running community, but aren't pro runners. And, it's a brand that is so eager to change the game and it's growing so fast. And I think people appreciate the genuine nature of what they're trying to do. I think Tracksmith is going to be one of those huge running brands in the next couple of years. So, thank you, Matt Taylor, Nick Willis, Brian, like all these guys that, allowed me to wear the kit and run for them and represent the brand and also build my professional career with them.
And then we have a question from Jonathan Galt. Will you be seeking a traditional full-time sponsorship moving forward, or do you imagine staying with Tracksmith?
That's a great question. What I want from a sponsorship is what I think Tracksmith provides. I'm at the point in my career that I value the connections and the growth, and it's exciting to be part of a brand that is invested in the sport and invested in the people and invested in me. Yeah, it's a great question. I would love to see where the relationship goes. And, I want to do things maybe a little untraditional if there's an opportunity to, but at the same time, like, got to make a living in the sport and support myself. So we'll see.
And then if there's any more questions, just raise your hand so I know you're typing. Yeah, I think we could wrap it up.
Thank you, everyone. Appreciate it.
Congratulations.
Can I say one thing? Yeah, I just want I think that goes underappreciated is all the coaches that have helped me throughout the years. High school, Daniel Ether, Bev Doherty, Dan Hayes, college coaches, Alex Gibby, Dusty Lopez, Kevin Sullivan, and now Ron Warhurst. I think every single person there deserves some type of credit. And so, yeah, just really appreciative.
Thank you.